Some of the most powerful changes take place in between sessions or during sessions when horses are allowed to pause and process. When horses experience something that feels different in their body or emotionally feels different from what they've been allowed to do before, they can sometimes need to spend prolonged amounts of time standing, pausing and processing. If you find that your horse is stopping and refusing to move, then I suggest you dedicate a session towards spending time with your horse and allowing them to pause. During this time, you can use the opportunity to learn about the different ways that your horse processes. Vikingur sometimes gets overwhelmed, particularly around the time when the spring grass comes through and he's really craving it. So I took this opportunity to show you how I address the problem of the horse stopping and no longer wanting to engage or move with me. Parts of this video are sped up so that I don't have to make the video too long while you stand around with me. So to start with, after Vikingur stops, I just stand with him and wait. At the moment he's looking away from me and not wanting to engage with me. So I look in the same direction that he's looking. He then wants to turn around and look in that direction, so I allow him to move. And as he gazes into the distance, I will stand with him and I will gaze with him. So I sped this part up, standing with him, gazing with him, occasionally just touching his neck to see if he'll respond. Also putting my hand on my heart, making sure that I feel grounded and that I'm there present for him when he chooses to come back to me. So back in real time now. And he starts to look around him a bit more and seem a bit more aware of me and his surroundings. So I look at him to see if he's ready to work with me. He's now gone from a state of gazing to a state of being more internal. So his eyes get a little bit sleepy and he stands with his head lowered. He turns his head towards me to check in with me, and I see if he's ready to go forward, but he's not quite ready. So I relax again and stand beside him. And this time you'll notice, rather than gazing into distance, his eyes are a little bit sleepy and he's more just going internal and becoming a little bit dreamy. So this is another type of processing. As he begins to come back to me, he does a big chew, which is a sign of releasing tension, and he turns to me, I think, to communicate a request for me to allow him to eat the grass. And when I don't allow him to do that, I invite him to move forwards with me instead. But again, you can see he's begun to shut me out again here. So once again, I just stand with him and wait for him to be ready. I use the time to just connect in with myself, to check in with him from time to time, but trying to minimize the amount of touch, only touching him or interacting with him when he initiates it. So again, he's quite sleepy here. He's quite gone quite internal in his processing. So no expectations here. I'm just standing with him, being aware of my own body, of my breathing, and of his body. And here he's going even more sleepy, going more internal with his processing. Then he comes back to life again, starts chewing, looks at me, and I look at him. He then turns in and has a nice moment of connection here with me. So I just stand with him until he turns his head away again, and you can see he's ready to move. So I move on with him and then ask him softly back to halt. At this point, I gave him a food reward and ended the session. Once you've devoted a session towards learning about your horse's pauses, you can then choose what to do with the pauses in the future. So as you become more familiar with the way your horse processes, you can choose to stop and allow your horse to pause, whether that's gazing into the distance or lowering the head, becoming sleepy-eyed and going more internal. You can allow pauses between exercises, and you can also softly ask your horse to come out of the pause and start working again. As you become better at reading them, you'll see the signs for when they're ready to move, and generally you can try to coordinate your asks with moments when they come more alive and feel more engaged with you. But it is also okay if they're wanting to have very prolonged pauses on some occasions to just softly ask them to come out of that and move on to the next part. However, it's very powerful to spend this first session allowing them to pause as long as they need. So set aside plenty of time. Once you feel really comfortable with standing with them and not expecting them to do anything, and once they know that you will sometimes allow them to stand and fully complete their process, they'll be more open to the times when you ask them to come out of the pause and move into the next activity.